In the same way a Cambodian freak show is the ideal location for people who believe the moon landing was fake, a major bank acts as a homing beacon for criminals. So there has been billions of dollars stolen over the years. And although it is sad that so many people have lost their life savings in this way, it does make a damn good YouTube video. This is a list of the 10 most interesting bank heists. The Knightsbridge safety deposit box robbery took place in London on the 2nd of July 1987. It was led by Valerio Vissi, who had arrived in London 1 year earlier after fleeing his native country of Italy, where he was wanted on 50 charges of armed robbery. He and a friend entered the Knightsbridge safe deposit box centre and requested to rent a box. On being shown into the vault, they pulled out guns. They hung a sign on the door saying the vault was closed for maintenance and simply stole $98 million. Vissi fled to South America, but when he later returned to England to retrieve his Ferrari, he was arrested by police. He eventually died in a shootout with police during a day release from prison, so I think it's fair to say he was the greatest man to ever live. At the very beginning of the Iraq War, Saddam Hussein ordered his son to steal $1 billion from the Iraqi central bank. According to the BBC, this was just hours before the first British and American bombs hit Baghdad. No one knows for sure what the money was used for, but $650 million was found in a nearby palace. At the time, Saddam Hussein was the dictator of Iraq, so he essentially stole from himself in the biggest bank job of all time. The Bank of Australia robbery was Australia's first bank heist. On the 14th of September 1828, a band of 5 robbers broke into the vault of the Bank of Australia by tunnelling through a nearby sewage drain that stretched underneath the foundations. They took £14,000 and got away with it until one of the members, named Blackstone, became a police informant. In 1831, he gave up 2 other members of the group. Only 2 because the others were either dead or had fled the country. The 2 men found themselves being sent to a prison island. But Blackstone was also sent to the same island. He was found strangled to death 12 years later. I wonder who did it. The Reichsbank was the central bank of Germany up until 1945, when it was replaced by another equally dull institution. At the end of the war, the bank was looted while Nazi Germany was falling apart. Someone managed to steal over $3 billion. Many believe the SS took the money and treated themselves to a nice ice cream before Russian soldiers rode into town and bedded their wives. The Helsinki Bank robbery took place on the 26th of February 1906. It was when Latvian socialists robbed a Russian bank located in Finland. A gang of 15 revolutionaries stole 170,000 rubles, which is about $1.8 million in today's money. After they killed a guard, 3 of the bandits were captured and 1 was shot dead. But the money was successfully transported to Russia and used to fund the Bolshevik Party, who did of course go on to found the Soviet Union. In 2005, a group of men tunneled into a bank in Brazil and stole the equivalent of $94 million. After purchasing a nearby house, they dug a 100-meter tunnel over a period of 3 months. As the tunnel led right into the vault, they were able to literally just take the money. Only 8 of the 25 suspects were ever arrested. Luis Ribeiro was suspected to be the mastermind, but he was killed shortly after by kidnappers. With him dead, and most of the money still being unaccounted for, who really knows what was going on? On December the 14th, 1934, $590,000 in United States Treasury bills was stolen from the US Trust Company in New York. As the money appeared to just disappear out of sight, and every single employee had an alibi, police assumed the bills had just been misplaced. But the next day, 2 of the bills were exchanged for cash, which made the authorities think that someone may have stolen them after all. In June of the next year, the FBI broadcast the serial numbers of the stolen bills, which led to the arrest of 9 men. The suspected mastermind, Charles Hartman, pled guilty to stealing $6 million in this heist and others. In 1997, a failed bank heist resulted in a deadly shootout between robbers and police. In North Hollywood, 2 men entered and robbed a branch of the Bank of America. As they were leaving, the LAPD arrived and the shootout began. One of the robbers was shot dead by the police, while the other committed suicide. Along with that, 11 police and 7 civilians were injured. A bunch of cars were destroyed, and over 1,700 rounds of ammunition were fired in an event that shook the world. For number 2, we are heading back to Iraq, in fact back to Baghdad in 2007. In an epic heist, 3 guards robbed $280 million from the bank they actually worked at. It is unclear how they managed to move so much money, but they are suspected to have links with terrorist groups, as they were able to escape Baghdad without being stopped at one of the many checkpoints. Over the past 2 years, a computer hacking ring has infiltrated over 100 banks. A report from a Russian securities firm revealed that a whole $1 billion has been stolen. The individual banks were located in more than 30 countries, which has led people to wonder if the worldwide financial system could be vulnerable to future attacks. Perhaps a league of hackers could ultimately wipe out the entire system. And so that brings us to the end of the list today. Every number in this video featured the same type of bank, and I'm sorry it has to be like that. There just aren't many sperm bank robberies. It would make a good story though.